Next up for the press conference coverage was our manager, Derek McInnes. Obviously, the talk to begin with was all around the new signing. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his second name. I'm just simply going to call him Costa. I think he was absolutely delighted to not only add him to the squad, but to bring James Penrice in. He spoke incredibly complimentary of Penrice's contribution to the game on Sunday, and hopefully that's a performance that he can build on. But he did describe Costa as another kind of Vanya type player, somebody that's really young, enthusiastic, athletic, which is really good to hear, and very, very eager to be able to play a part in the club and in the team. Knows that he's a young player, there's areas for him to improve on, but one of the things that McInnes was really impressed with was the players' own eagerness to join, and that was very, very clear from the early conversations that they had. Both will be in the European squad ahead of tomorrow night's game. I think the only caveat on that would be Costa's registration being through in time. He wasn't concerned about the lack of game time. He'd kind of indicated that they'd been keeping an eye on his training schedule at Aston Villa. He's been involved in that full pre-season, and actually the load that he's got through that pre-season means that he can go if he is called upon. Things moved up to the top end of the pitch. Obviously, still looking for that number 9 to replace Yusuf Chermiti. Finding it really difficult, I think, from his point of view, to be able to get someone in that's the right player, not just any option. And I think that was the thing that became very, very clear. They're not just going to settle for a signing. They're going to make sure that they get somebody that comes in, fits with the team, and is the right level of quality, which I think all fans will really want to hear. Spoke about Nico, and despite there being talk and rumours about him potentially leaving the club, he's been a dream, actually, since McInnes came in as manager. He's applied himself well in training. There's not been any distraction with all that talk, and I think that's only a good thing. Hopefully he can up his performance. Wasn't his most vintage performance on Sunday, but certainly a fully fit, a fully focused Nico Raskin would be an asset to any Rangers team. And hopefully he can get a bit more of the form that he shows for Belgium. He does expect there to be background noise and conversations to continue, but until he's told something different, Nico will firmly remain in contention. Spoke about the fact that, reiterating his comments on the St Mirren game, the 4-3-3 with one striker was surprisingly one of our more dangerous games that we've had this season. He talked about having great midfield support, transitions were good, but more importantly, getting runners beyond Ryan Nadiri, who was playing that lone role. Very, very open to saying that wasn't necessarily a permanent shape that we'd see, but it certainly gives him food for thought. And I think that he made a comment around, sometimes for each type of game, you've just got to find the right type of combination that's going to unlock defences, and that 4-3-3 against St Mirren certainly did that. There was a bit of focus on Shankland as captain, not being guaranteed a start, but he made it very, very clear that was one of the discussions that him and Lawrence had actually had, that even though he was given the captain's armband, that he's still going to have to earn his place in the team, and that's the way it should be for every single player at Rangers, regardless of whether you're captain or not. There is no guarantee that you will start every single game, and you should be starting the game based on merit, not based on past performance. He doesn't have any concerns with Lawrence as a captain. He described him as a fantastic captain. I think that the one thing that resonated with me from the press conference was him talking about, look, just let the boy be and let him play his natural game. It will come good. Every player kind of goes through that drought or that bit of a rough patch, but Shankland will come through it, and once he does come through it, he will be a real asset to this club, I think. A little bit of focus on the game tomorrow night. He expects Jablonek to be kind of organised and well capable of changing shape from the videos that they've seen. Again, he reiterated the fact that this is a game where we really need to focus on ourselves. We need to be on it, and if we're on it, then especially at Ibrox, we should be beating most teams that we play in a European game. So hopefully we can build the momentum from the St Mirren game into tomorrow night's game, and we can get a real positive result on the back of that. Hope you enjoy the game, folks, and I'll be back next press conference. Cheers.
Right, kick us off, Ronnie.
Derek, start with the new face of the squad. How excited are you to have Costa?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a position we had identified at the start of the pre-season just to try and bring in. We have looked at various different options. Obviously, the club's been reliant on Dujon, and obviously Dujon's had his history of injuries and issues. So we're looking to try and bring maybe a different type of fullback to that. And get high opinion of Dujon, but I think with Costas, what you get is that similar to Vanya, really, but in a fullback position, real enthusiasm, athleticism to go up and down the pitch. Shows good quality, a real eagerness to play the role. And when it's somebody so young, there's obviously going to be still areas to improve, but we're looking forward to try to get those improvements with him. But his eagerness to come here was clear, and the conversations we had with him a few weeks ago at the outset, after speaking to him and him speaking to us, it was something we were always keen to try and do.
You've also got James in as well. Do you feel as if you are beginning to build and get to where you want to be for a squad?
Yeah, well, I think delighted that we managed to get James, as I said on Sunday. I think the ability to react to Tour's injury, being in a transfer window, allowed us to do that. But grateful for the fact that we could bring James in, and I think he showed for his performance that he's got a lot to give us. So yeah, it's two fullback areas that we look a bit stronger than we did a week ago, because we were really light. So we've addressed that pretty swiftly, thankfully. But we still have work to do towards the top end of the pitch, clearly. I've said earlier that they're the toughest ones at times to get. They're the ones with the bigger ticket a lot of times, the ones where we're keen to really address, because they're the ones that can make the difference for us. And I do think if we can get the right ones in those areas, it will change the whole dynamic of the team. And with Yusuf's injury as an added complication there, we've tried to address that issue as well. But scoring 5 goals on Sunday, we showed enough attacking threat. But we're still keen to make those additions as quickly as possible.
Close are you, Derek? What's the striker search been like? I'm sure you won't reveal names, but maybe just give us an insight into how you're finding that search for Yusuf's replacement.
Yeah, well, it's not really my department, but obviously we are all working close together to try and bring the best option, not just an option, and try to be specific to what we're trying to look for, to be honest. But number 9s are normally more difficult ones to do, and it wasn't an area we were looking to try and do, but obviously with Yusuf's injury, every day the lads are all actively trying to find and source good options for us to try and see if we can deliver one. But certainly the work's been a plenty. Certainly we've been poring over different options and different strikers, and so we're hoping we can land on the one that we want, and hopefully we can bring him here quickly.
Heading into this game tomorrow, how much difference does it make going into it on the back of a convincing win?
Yeah, I think winning is why we're all here. It's like you can be good as you want Monday to Friday, but if you don't win your game at the weekend, it's tough. I think even coming in on Monday morning, everybody was a bit brighter, a bit more a spring in their step. Because ultimately, I want a winning dressing room, I want a winning club, and getting a win was important for us. It took a bit longer than we'd have hoped to get ourselves going, but I think the manner of the win was quite convincing. A lot of what we wanted for the game, we got. There's still certain things we need to improve on, clearly, but scoring 5 goals at home in any sort of game is good shooting. So, got to take the positives from it, and I thought there were some good performances within the game. So, no, absolutely. Getting into this game, everything seems a bit easier and a bit more enjoyable when you're winning football.
Just checking the Nigelovich and McInnes, are they both in the squad for tomorrow?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, as it stands, I think that James is been registered. We're still waiting on Costas at the minute, but we intentions to do that. Yeah.
He's ready to go. Just haven't turned up.
Yeah, well, he's been training and playing with Villa throughout the pre-season, and we've looked at his minutes and his training schedule. He's been pretty active. So, yeah, a bit like James, he came straight in on Sunday. There was always an element of risk in that, but he did well with that side of it. So if called upon, if we can get him registered in time and stuff like that, then I'm sure he'll do well for us.
Nico's obviously captain, but he surprised how long he actually had them. Is it difficult backing your mind prepared for life without?
Yeah, I think come into this with my eyes wide open, knowing that Nico was a potential flight risk. Obviously, he was still in the World Cup when I came in, and having a couple of conversations with him. We were keen for him to do well there, obviously, and come back to us in good form. But it's like everything else. Every player's got a price. Every player has got a time where it's maybe suits them to move on, suits the club or whatever. But I think it's important for me that to say that I think Nico's been a dream since we came in terms of how he's set about his work, and he doesn't look like a boy who's distracted in any way with that. I've no doubt there's a lot of stuff going on in the background with him, and I've no doubt there's going to be plenty of conversations being had about Nico. But I think I just need to play it by ear, really, to be honest. And if somebody tells me any differently, then that changes things. But no, I'm enjoying working with him. It has to be said.
The outside, it feels like families are struggling with that. Families get one out at one point, just concentration. Is that an issue in a lack of competition? Is that a partner?
Yeah, I think we're trying to help every player really try to get to their best form, and I think every player's at a different kind of moment, and we've got to make sure that we are as stingy as we can be at the back and get that rhythm and get those kind of relationships. There's been different centre half pairings in the games that we've played, and I think for everybody it's to try and find their best form. And I think at this stage of the season, sometimes it's difficult to be at your best, but certainly have to have that real focus and concentration and application at your work to try and get your best performances quickly. So every player's kind of similar. I understand the question, but I think we have got good players in the club, and we've got a lot of potential in the club, and it's up to us to try and realise that potential. But I do think players themselves need to take that on board and be really concentrated with their work, really focused, and try to get the best from themselves. Because sometimes football's easy and you can just turn up and everything seems automatic. Sometimes you need to work out a wee bit harder at your game, and I think for us all at the start of the season, a new manager and a lot of new players coming in, everybody's got to have that real focus and concentration of what's been asked of them and what's expected of them.
Yeah, I know a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about the captaincy, it wasn't a major issue from your own point of view, but so Lawrence has come in the team, been out of the team a couple of times. Is it a case that even though he's the club captain, he's not going to be obviously guaranteed that start? He is going to have to.
Yeah, I think I said that at the time when I spoke to Lawrence, just because the captain doesn't guarantee anything. He accepted that. He's not a daft boy. He's not going to start stamping his feet and saying this and that. It's somebody has to be club captain, and having had the benefit of working with Lawrence previously, he's a brilliant captain, absolutely brilliant captain, a brilliant boy, and he's got a lot to offer. And I think everybody can maybe look too much at that, to be honest. So obviously, you want your captain to have a big influence on and off the pitch, and I believe Lawrence will have that. So for me, it's a non-question, but I understand how people might see more of it.
You still look to add another centre half into the squad there, or will you try and use John Ross and Corey to fill in those areas now that you've got that right back cover in as well?
So I think never say never, but obviously priorities at the top end of the pitch. We need to bring players in at the top end of the pitch. At the minute, it's not to say we wouldn't be looking elsewhere, but I think it's where we're at the minute. Hopefully the next signing we make is someone in the forward areas, and that would be our priority, Chris.
Is there intention to have still a winger off the left and a winger off the right again?
Yeah, I think just want a winger that we can get at the minute of the level, to be honest. Plays off the left or plays off the right, it'll do me. If they can play off both sides, even better. So we've got, I think you've got Gas in Finlay, who obviously was up for press, and capable of good moments, and Miyako is going to get better as we go along. And I think that we've got players that can play in these positions. But I think like for everything else, we see the importance of these positions, and we see the importance of the attacking threat that we have to have at Rangers, and but so does everybody. We're all. It's not as if it's just me saying it. We're all trying to get them, and I believe that whoever we bring in will give us that real dose of quality. Yeah, I think it is. I said after the game, it's not ironic, but it's we showed we're probably more attacking. We've had plenty of possession, plenty of penalty box entries in most of the games, but I actually thought we got moved up and down the pitch a lot quicker. We got support beyond Ryan, the main striker. We had good midfield support, we had good transitional play, and I really enjoyed watching a lot of it. We've done a video for the team to look back at today. A lot of the qualities we showed, both winning the ball in good areas and what we did with it. And it's I've always liked to play with two strikers, but we made the decision to go with one. Thinking that someone would fill the middle of the pitch as well, and we thought the game suited us to play with one striker. And ultimately, sometimes you've got to have the right combination of strikers as well. Sometimes you can only play two strikers if it's really worth it. And a lot of the time those strikers have got to be a bit different. And we made the decision to go with one striker at the weekend, and certainly paid dividends in that game. It's not to say that that's always what we're going to do.
Derek, you know Lawrence better than anyone. How's his mindset at the moment in terms of the goal return? Is there an anxiety, or is it just that when it clicks it?
I think when you've got a boy like Lawrence who knows how to his way about the penalty box, he knows how to score goals, and he takes that role and that responsibility on, then you understand that it's. I never worry too much about that, especially with somebody like Lawrence, because he's too good not to get scoring on a regular basis, and he's consistently shown over a period of time in the Premier League 20 odd goals return every season at Hearts, and for me he's I think people can over emphasise these sort of things, and sometimes for me it's just a case of just let the boy be and just let him play his natural game. And the best strikers, as we all know, is having that instinctive part to their game. Everything looks really natural and seamless, and I've no doubts that he's going to do well there.
The team would have got left obviously from Sunday. You just hope they can build momentum now.
Yeah, we're always looking for that. I think if we can get another win on top of it, obviously we want to take a victory over to the Czech Republic next week. All the focus is obviously we've been looking at them over the last few days, and you obviously got to look at yourselves and what you want to do, but also look at the opposition. But at the end of the day, if we can deliver a big performance, if the players can individually be as strong as they were at the weekend, because I do think we had a lot of strong individual performances. And it pleased me after the efforts of Sunday. Our best physical output was against Hibs after travelling from Poland, and I thought it was a decent performance, certainly in terms of effort. And the lads got rewarded for their effort again on Sunday. For me, it was just important we won the game for so many reasons. Supporters needed to see a winning team. It was nice we got a few goals. It was nice we had some good performances. But if we can follow that up with another win, of course, that's only going to help matters before we travel to the Czech Republic.
What do you expect from the Avalanche tomorrow night? And do you consider yourself favourites of this tie?
I think it's difficult to really assess who's favourites and who no. I'm not really born who's favourites, but for me, it's just it's a game that we put the emphasis on ourselves to go and win it. I know you've watched them, but sometimes you can never really tell, because obviously they're playing teams in their own league, and the teams that they've played previously in Europe have maybe not been at the same level as what we are, but at the same time, you can only take on what's in front of you. And they're clearly a well organised team, like most teams are. They've got a few good individuals who can make the game a bit more problematic for you, like most teams. But we feel as though we've got a good handle on what they are, and they can change from shape to shape a lot of times. So even within the same personnel, so we've got to be ready for that. But ultimately, I'm just going back to what we said earlier. I'm just really want to try and concentrate on us finding our level and us getting big performances from us individually, because if I feel as though if we can do that, then although I'm expecting a tough game, I expect it to be tougher for them.
Thank you guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
The Four Lads Rangers podcast is sponsored by Athol Industrial Solutions, Candid, LBJ Consultants, CBD Oil Scotland, Elite Scooter Scotland, and Metaclad, Four Lads' exclusive roofing partner. The Aesthetics Lounge by Sharon, Denhay, the quintessential British bacon. Thank you to our sponsors, and also to our partners, Black Rooster, Art of Gold, and Rangers Youth Development Company. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.